What's the benefit of having a long-term relationship with their CPA? What are you actually getting whenever a CPA prepares your tax return? Like, what are you paying for? And how do you know, like, when that relationship has run its course and maybe it's time to find a new tax preparer or a new professional to work with? This is going to be less of a how-to technical video and more just of a basic video. You're a business owner and you need a CPA or you need some sort of help. You need a tax professional. How do you pick one and what does it mean to have that relationship? So I'll give you a little bit of a story time just to kind of illustrate the point here. I have a client that I've been working with for years. She was one of my longest term clients from like way back in the beginning. So I know her business. I know what she's doing. I know her role in her business. I know the types of things that she's doing. And so whenever we prepared her tax return, she submitted her documents. And one of the things she submitted was a statement showing tuition paid for a college degree. Now, usually for tuition statements, there's some tax credits that you can get on your personal tax return. And that's where the software would default to wanting to put it. But from working with her for so many years, I know for a fact that she wasn't switching careers. I know that she's a business owner and that she was going to college to further her skills in her actual current trade or business. And since I felt like she met the requirements, I knew that we could take that tuition and actually deduct it on her business tax return instead of calling it a tax credit. And by deducting it on her business tax return, we saved her like $6,000 or $7,000 in taxes. And so I walked her through the pros and the cons of doing it this way. I walked her through what the IRS would expect to see as far as documentation goes and helped her come up with that documentation that she would need to show that the classes that she was taking and the degree that she was getting would actually further her skills as a business owner in her current line of business and not qualify her for a totally different business, which would have disqualified her from being able to use those as business expenses. She created the documentation, she sent it to me to review, I saved it to her file, and now we're all set. But I'm fairly certain if she had used TurboTax and just uploaded her documents, the little computers would have read the documents, would have seen a 1098 for tuition, would have put it as a tax credit, asked her some questions there, and probably never would have even considered to put it as a business expense. And if she was switching CPAs from year to year and she was working with somebody who really wasn't sure of what her situation was, they would have seen her spouse with a high W-2, they would have seen her business income, which was decent, and they would have seen this tuition, and they probably would have assumed, oh, she's going back to school for something else. And they probably would have taken the tax credit and never even asked about if this was something that could be deducted as a business expense. And that's a benefit of having worked with us and us working with her for so long, is that we know their situation. Even if we're not talking on a weekly or monthly basis, we had situations, we had years where we were talking quarterly, and then just doing her accounting and working with her closely for so many years, we know the situation. And so we know what to look for when we're looking through a tax return. And that's one of the benefits of working for so long with the same preparer. So what are you getting whenever you pay somebody to do your taxes? Are you paying somebody to put the numbers from one piece of paper or one computer system into another computer system and click file? I mean, I guess that's part of it, but honestly, that part's getting more and more automated. But if that's all you need, if you really just need the numbers put on the page and your stuff's straightforward and there's really no like opportunities for tax savings or for making different decisions, then that might be fine. That might be all you need. But what you should be getting if you start paying higher prices for tax returns is you should be getting people who are paying attention whenever they're preparing your tax return. You should be getting people who every step of the way are thinking about how else could we have handled this? What is this for? Is there a better way to have done this? And what's interesting about the example that I gave at the beginning of the video is the work of knowing her situation didn't come during this preparation process this year. That work was done through the relationship with this client. And so while we're not charging for just entering numbers into boxes on a screen, we're also not charging for a refund because as a CPA, we're not even allowed to charge what's called contingent fees. We can't charge you more because we got you a bigger refund. I shouldn't have an incentive to inflate your refund because then that could cause preparers to do things dishonest in order to get you a bigger refund. So what you're paying for whenever you pay for like a CPA or professional to do your taxes, you're not necessarily just getting button pushers and you're not necessarily getting a big refund for the money that you're paying, but what you are getting is the attention needed to be able to prepare your tax return the right way and learn enough about you over the years to be able to recognize opportunities for tax savings later on. You should also be working with somebody who takes a holistic approach to tax preparation. I don't want to get you a big tax credit or tax refund this year if it's going to cost you even more in taxes down the road. And I see that all the time. There's different decisions that you can make on a tax return, different ways that you can deduct basic things like home office deductions and mileage and travel expenses. And the method of deducting those things that might get you the bigger refund in 1 year might cost you even more down the road. And so we take more of a holistic approach to things, and that's what your tax preparer should be doing. Now, there are some times where a longer term relationship with a CPA or a tax preparer could actually start working against you. How do you know when that relationship has run its course and it's time for you to start looking at other options? It's really easy for tax preparers who have been working with a client for years and years to just go through the motions and default things and not really give the thought and attention into things that it deserves. So if you feel like there's been changes to your situation, but your preparer never really asked you about those, if you feel like you have not been getting questions or responses or feedback from your preparer, if you're not understanding your tax return the way that you would like to, it might be time to start looking for another CPA. It could also be possible, though, that your current preparer offers those things and you're just not paying for them. So if you're not happy with the level of service that you're getting, before you jump ship, ask your preparer, hey, I would like to have more insights in my tax return. I would like to have some sit downs, some one-on-ones, some Zoom videos, whatever. And it might be something that they offer, but they might charge a fee for it. But if you're just consistently feeling blown off, ignored, not taken care of, and you just don't even know whether or not things are being done properly, you're not getting questions about your taxes or anything like that, it might be time to start looking for another tax preparer. I just reviewed a tax return recently for a new client. Something that we do sometimes is we'll offer these tax review services. I'll look through your tax return, let you know if there's opportunities for savings or to do things differently, or maybe if things were done incorrectly. And because we work with so many authors, we understand the mistakes that are typically made on an author tax return. If you're interested in having something like that done for you, or if you're interested in working with us, I'm going to put a link in the description. It's authorcpa.com. You can check that out, and we have services where we'll just look at your tax return. There's no obligation to work with us in the future, but it's there, and then that way you know what to look for in the future, or we can even do your tax return for you for either this year or next year ongoing. So if you have questions about that, reach out in the comments or go to authorcpa.com and reach out there. If you have specific tax questions or business questions about your author business that you would like answered on this channel, put those in the comments as well. I love helping with that kind of stuff, and I will see you next time.